Welcome.
Glad to be here, Al.
Hector, now you tell me that today I saw the email that went out said that today's lesson is on customer experience, the
That's
new
it.
differentiator, aka the difference maker.
That's right.
So
That's
are you
right.
trying to tell me that, just to have a customer for the sake of having a customer and doing business as usual is not good enough? We have to create some wonderful experience for them? Come on.
That's it. That's exactly it, right? We always have to deal with what is that X factor in business, and those companies that are successful and that drive that relationship component and really focus on that, enable themselves to be successful through customer experience. So yeah, that's what we're going to chat about today.
Well, I'm looking forward to it because I'm kind of that guy, in kind of the same vein. Y'all can relate, I'm sure, on the call. You have a team member, you have an employee, and they think they come along and they want some pats on the back for doing, something fabulous, and all they're doing is their job is like, well, I'm just paying you to show up and do your job. Show up and do your job. You're not doing anything fabulous. You're just doing your job. So, I've kind of had to learn that sometimes it's good to pat people on the back and give them credit for even just showing up and doing their job. So it kind of seems
Yeah.
in a certain vein, Hector, that in a way is like, so we kind of got to pat the customer on the back and give them you're doing a good job to come and do business with us. We got to make it as an experience. So I think I might be your toughest critic today. I don't know about that. I might be the guy that has to learn the most today. So I
There
got
you
an
go.
edge
Good,
on
good.
this one. So
Awesome, awesome. Well, I'm glad that you'll take something out of today's call, as I hope everybody else does as well. Before we kick things off, we want to make sure that we go through last week's challenge. I told everybody that we would go through that. So those that attended, real quick show of hands, who did their CRM deep
well,
dive
let's
and
see.
analysis?
Mike was on with us. Abe was on with us. So Abe's not with us today, but Mike was on. Grace was on. And no, James, no, I don't see. Let's see. Erica, Peter was on.
Yeah.
Anyway, so there you go. We got a few people that we're holding accountable today.
There we go. So let's start with Grace because you're the first one that pops up on my screen. Did you get a chance to go through your CRM
Yeah,
analysis? Yeah. What were
yeah,
your findings?
yeah. As of right now, we're not really we haven't implemented yet the Zoho CRM, but Corey will be having actually a meeting about it tomorrow. But if I will be like analyzing it based on what we were doing right now, um, the touch points are actually more on the sales part and the marketing part, of course, the operations and finance. But I think what's lacking is more on the customer relationship and nurturing the
Hmm.
the relationship with the customer.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that's what we're lacking as of now. So if we're gonna be implementing that new CRM, the Zoho CRM, that's something that we should add on. And yeah, and I believe that's the missing or the weak data that should be implemented moving forward.
There you go. You're already ahead of it, which is awesome. Great job, Grace. I'm always impressed by how quickly you learn the information and you start to apply it. So great, great job.
Holy smokes, that's like that deserves a standing ovation almost in a situation.
Right?
That was
Oh,
fabulous. I'll start it.
you
No, you
yeah,
won't.
you should see her in action when she's managing her team. Does really well. All right. So Mike was also on the call last week. Mike, did you get a chance to review your CRM or lack of, if I remember?
Lack of it, yeah, we do have that one Service Titan. They do use it to track a lot of our just service customers and track a bunch of stuff with them and use it for how much money that client has spent with us and how many visits we have to make to their house and that stuff. But we do not have one, and we actually have a meeting tomorrow about it to try to implement one for the rest of the company for the commercial
Nice.
side and the production side. So yeah,
There you
things are
go.
moving, not super quick, but
That's
we're gonna
okay.
get there.
You're getting there and integrating the
Yeah,
departments to use the CRM so that the right hand knows what the left hand's doing, moving towards
yeah,
that common customer experience that we'll talk about today.
perfect.
Cool, good stuff. And who else was on the call last week? Peter, right? Peter, I think, was on.
Me and Willie, we chatted a little bit, but I have not gone into that part yet, so I'm off the hook for this round.
Ah, there you go. All right, Peter.
Okay, hang on a
Andrew,
second. Hang on a second. Maybe Peter's off the hook, but do we let Willie off the hook? If Willie was working with Peter one on one and Peter didn't finish, is that go to Willie's responsibility?
there you go. Look at that. The
I,
accountability.
I'm actually not working with Peter one-on-one, but we talked.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Dodge the bullet, eh? Dodge the
yeah,
bullet.
dodge
There
the
you go.
bullet. There you
There you
go.
go. All right. Andrew, I think Andrew was on last week, if I remember right.
Yes,
No,
he
maybe
was.
not.
Yeah, he is on my attendance sheet for last week.
Yeah. Andrew, did you get a chance to look at a CRM and deep dive it?
No, I did not get a chance to do it. I learned a little bit more into it, what it exactly is, but no, I did not get a chance to deep dive into it yet.
Okay, let's get you to focus on that this weekend. It's critical as you build up your business off the ground. This is when you want to implement your CRM. You don't want to wait till you're a year in and now you're having to put all the efforts to data dump and get to know your customers a year in, right? Like you're early on, this is perfect. Like you don't need to go get the most expensive one. You just need to find one that will enable you to start categorizing, tracking, and of course, building relationships with your customers, right? So,
Could I ask you guys a question?
yeah.
You or Willie, what CRM would you recommend for me?
You know what? A price point for me right now, I would easily say like Go High Level or even Zoho. Like those would be two that I would recommend.
Yeah, I would say the same thing.
Okay, I will check them out tonight yet.
Yeah, there we go. Good stuff.
Hey,
All right, that's
Andrew,
oh,
Andrew, then go put your findings in the community.
yeah,
Okay,
there we go.
I will
Thanks,
do
Al.
that.
Tell us what you thought. I'm gonna watch for your comments and tell us what you thought of it. Hector, we ready to start the lesson for this week?
Let's do it. Let's do
All
it.
right.
All
Well, Willie, if
right.
anybody else comes in this room, just let them in and let's get rocking.
Okay, well, as we started off, we went through and talked about CRM principles last week and how managing those customer relationships is more than just software, right? We talked about it being a mindset. Well, today we're going to take that conversation a little further because CRM is just the foundation. It's the building block of your business customer experience. But the real game changer is, in fact, the customer experience, or as in some business terms nowadays, they call it CX. All these millennials and like Gen Zs, and they don't say the full words anymore. They like to cut up words. So if you hear CX in business term, it's referred to customer experience. All right. So just a little bit of a heads up. If I start calling it CX, it's because it's what I'm hearing it now in most business conversations. But here's the truth. In today's world, right, products can be copied, services can be matched, but experiences, right? That's where the battle is won. It's services. It's that experience where you go in and you come out feeling like you were treated differently. So, like, I know I always go to you, Willie, for some examples because I really appreciate how you applied these in your business practices, and so let's talk about that. I know whether it was Willie's Trucking or any of your other businesses, tell us about your focus on that customer experience piece.
Yeah, it's such an important piece for building a business. When I started the trucking business, that was probably the number one thing that I thought I had the upper hand on if I really focus on that customer experience. And so I think it starts by the different touch points, following up after doing a deal or whatever, and then also stopping in and chatting with them and just trying to learn more about them and see what their pain points are and that they feel like somebody's listening. I think that's probably one of the things.
That's exactly it, right? It's that pain point removal. It's understanding what motivates them or what drives them. And so this is important because it doesn't matter whether you're the business owner or the business unit leader, you still are accountable for playing a role in ensuring that the customer experience is flawless if you want to make sure that your team and business has success. Right? Think about it in your own life, right? You're probably willing to pay a little more for certain businesses, not because they're necessarily better, or in some cases the food tastes better in restaurants, and or the coffee shop is coffee is better, but it's because the restaurant bartender or the waitress or waiter, they remember your name, right? They make you feel comfortable, and it's about what that does to how you feel while you're spending your money in that establishment. So that customer experience is like now the biggest difference maker in business. It's what builds loyalty, and loyalty obviously drives profit. So, but don't take it from me, right? Like, take it from guys that have been multi-billionaires like Jeff Bezos, who's built Amazon on the core principle of pure customer obsession. Howard Schultz turned Starbucks into a global brand by focusing on the cafe experience, not the coffee, right? Because I don't know many people that really truly can say they love Starbucks coffee. They went to a Starbucks many years ago, fell in love with the experience, and then they got hooked to going to Starbucks. Because most of us nowadays, we just go through the drive-through anyways, but you're still paying a lot more for a Starbucks coffee than you would for any other cafe around town, right? So it's something that big investors, Richard Branson, constantly has reminded us through his different business ventures that it's not about the product, it's how people feel when they engage with your business. So Willie, you touched on that. You talked about how you went in, you talked about removing pain points and getting to know your customers. But what else did you do once you got that information? What did you do with that info?
Yeah, that's then really living up to providing that service to what their pain points were. In our case, in our trucking business, it usually was uh, late freight or it was damage, and so that's where our attention went to. Let's make sure it happens or it doesn't happen to us where it's late or damaged.
That's it, right? It was
Yeah.
ensuring that the freight got delivered on time, damage free. And that whole experience is what drove people to come back. And they knew that we weren't going to be the cheapest. We never positioned it to be the cheapest. It was you were going to pay for what you get, which is delivered freight on time with no damages or lost, right? So let's think about what are those core elements of that customer experience. So what actually makes it a great customer experience? And so there's three key elements. The first one is consistency. The second one is ease. And the third one is emotion. So consistency, right? It's every touch point that matters, whether that's your website, sales call, or any customer service interaction. It all has to feel connected. Everyone in your team has to be consistent in delivering or removing that pain point within that customer experience. So if we think back of Willie's Trucking, you talked about how you would go back and communicate, hey, we got to make sure we deliver, free of damage and on time. Well, we built in KPIs that measured that activity, that drove that behavior in the business and held everybody accountable to doing just that. So that was the consistency factor. It's building in processes around delivering that consistency and experience. The second one is ease. So people value convenience over almost anything else. Think of Amazon. Like, how often are you now using Amazon because it's literally one click away versus you getting in your vehicle, driving to the hardware store or clothing store to get what you're looking for? The principle is very simple. Make it easy for customers to do business with you. So it's ease, right? That's the second one. Similarly, we talked about, Willie, like the ease of knowing my freight's going to arrive on time. It's consistently here, always by 5 a.m. And so I know I can do business. I can plan my business around that factor, right? So the third one is emotion. And that's experiences create feelings. We're all humans. I said this many times. And feelings create memories. Those memories create loyalty. I know for sure, like for me, I go to a restaurant and I walk out with that they remember my name. You know, they got my order right. I was made to feel good while I was there spending my money. Well, now I'm gonna come back to it. And then ultimately that's going to become my one restaurant that I go to, because I don't pick many, but once they get me, they get me. So that's the type of customer that I am. And so I'm very much tied to that emotional experience. And so when you think about customer service, Tony Shea, who was the late founder of Zappos, a multimillionaire tech company, said customer service shouldn't just be a department in your organization. It should be the entire company. Everybody should be talking about how do you make the customer feel valued, safe, and delighted to do business with you. And when you've done so, you've won them for life. So if you think about those core principles, which is, consistency, ease, and emotion, and you apply them to your teams and you apply them to your business, it just is one of those things that really drives momentum. And one of my favorite ways of using this is that I like to ask in interviews, talk to me about a time of when you handled a pain point or you removed a pain point for a team member or customer, because I want to hear that individual has the capacity to think through customer experience and is able to apply it in the team setting and or a removal of a barrier for a customer. So Willie, let's talk about it. We talked about the three core elements. What have you seen out there, in your businesses?
Sorry, what was that?
What have you seen in the three core elements and how you've applied them? How do you see them out there? How do they relate to you?
Yeah, it's that personal connection with the customer is, yeah, super important. And what I kept thinking here as you were talking about, really you're giving this lesson of experience, but also I think you're showing people how you are now selling your service more based on the value you bring to the customer versus the price side of things as well. And
Absolutely.
so I kept thinking, what you're here saying is that, yeah, this is the way you can overcome by just selling based on price and selling what you're actually doing or helping businesses with solving their pain points.
Totally. Because customer experience is, in reality, it's a strategy. It's a business strategy, right? It's not a department. Don't get this twisted, right? Like, don't think of this as it's a customer service problem. That's the department that should handle this. Wrong. Wrong. It's not. And it's not a marketing and it's not an operations thing. It's an entire company. It's a complete strategy. It's the lens with which you and everyone else is making decisions at the organization. It's hiring, like I talked about, it's training, it's process design. It's simply put, like, we should be asking ourselves, how does this impact the customer experience? If you're looking to set up a new process, if you're looking to make decisions on, it could be cost cutting, it could be adding individuals to your team, it could be on a new service that you're looking to implement. But again, it's how does it impact that customer experience, right? And I know I'm dropping some names here today because I want to ensure that everybody here understands that these aren't my theories. These are some super successful people that have applied these. And Warren Buffett, I think we've all heard of Warren Buffett, right? He once said, it takes 20 years to build a reputation and 5 minutes to ruin it. In essence, that's customer experience, right? So, big or small, it's important to always leave on that positive impression. So, I know, like you've talked about it, Willie. I remember many, many times when you would get a email from a customer and they would say like, hey, I was on the phone. I was waiting and waiting and I was calling, nobody picked up the phone. And that was such a customer experience pain point that I recall from you, that you would say, why is nobody picking up the phone in the branch? Like it should not ring more than 3 times. And that was something that was constantly on alert in every dispatch floor. Can you speak to that, Willie?
Yeah, it was just always something that I could or what I really didn't want to hear from our customers. So I wanted to make everyone aware that, man, we do whatever we can to pick up that phone and do some customer service and help them out as quick as we can.
Yeah, but in
Yep.
theory, when you really like peel that back, right? Who likes to be on a phone
Yeah.
waiting and waiting and waiting? Or worse, when it goes to a voicemail or when it goes to an automated answering system, right? Like
Yeah.
who likes that? No, nobody does. So, your leadership behind it and your expectations behind it led us to always be diligent and aware and build processes to ensure that we did not miss a call, right? If it rang 2 times or 3 times and a human didn't pick up, it went straight to the next line. And ultimately, it got to a human to answer the phone.
Yeah, that's another thing you have to look at. How can you set up the system to serve the customer better too, right? So just what you said, if
That's
one
exact.
branch didn't pick it up, it would ring in another branch where maybe there was a person ready to answer it.
That's it, right? That's exactly it. Is understanding it and then implementing it, whether it's process, people, and strategy all tied together so that everybody in the organization is focused on that experience. So whether it's a big business or small business, it's the principles very similar and the same, right? We talk about the Willie's experience, but like let's talk about a smaller example. I talked last week about my little laundromat in Latin America, in El Salvador, tiny little business. Well, what sets the experience differentiator in that business? Well, for one, we have free Wi-Fi. So if you want to come and sit and wait for your laundry, well, we have free Wi-Fi. Well, why is that? That might be really common for us here, but in Latin America, it's still not, right? And so you can scan a QR code at our door and sit and hang out while you get free Wi-Fi and your laundry's being done. So that's an example of a customer service experience that we believe we're adding. In Willie's Trucking, we talked about real-time tracking. We provided updates. We ensured that the freight got delivered on time and damage-free. All of that to build transparency and trust. That's the whole goal here, right? So we talked about some big names out there and all these individuals and how they promote what is important for them and their teams to build back that customer experience, to focus on it. But I was really looking into this week and thinking like, who can I really learn from when it comes to customer experience? And of course, we've got what is the Amazon way of doing things. But then there's Elon Musk, and he kept coming up in my research. And I was like, what is different about Elon Musk, and what is it that he does? And in looking back through this and listening to it, here is the way Elon Musk builds his businesses. And here's a secret. He listens to feedback loops in everything that in any of his business, whether it's SpaceX, Tesla, or any of the others, he's constantly looking for feedback loops and making those adjustments. And it's all about focusing on the feel versus the technology. And the technology comes, but it's the feeling that he builds the technology around. So important for us to learn, if these people are doing it and they're constantly focused on that experience, we as leaders should be looking at that as well. So what are the next steps? Well, as you know, we always are going to provide a challenge. We're always going to look for implementation and experience here. So I'd like everybody here to look at friction points. We're going to look at one pain point in your team and organization, and maybe it could be a slow response times. Maybe it's unclear expectations on what the department needs. I don't know. You guys will figure it out. You'll analyze it, but you're gonna focus on one pain point that currently is impacting the customer experience negatively. And you're going to create a wow moment. You're going to design something small, but something that makes your customer smile. And that could be an internal customer or an external customer, but something that makes the experience memorable where they walk out feeling pretty good, right? And so those are the two things. Find out what's broken and implement something that would fix it so that we get into the habit of identifying the customer experience and creating a positive. Does that make sense to the group? Yeah, cool. Awesome. Well, that's what we had for today, and really tying it back in, through this whole customer building relationship, customer building trust experience. So I'll pass it back to you.
Well, I'm gonna have to admit, I think you've convinced me.
Did I? You had questions, in the start.
Yeah, and it only took me 30. You only took 30 minutes to convince me. So there you go.
That's it. Well, what got you? I want to hear what got you.
The third piece, emotion, and you said we create feelings in people based on their experience, and that feeling creates loyalty. So if we understand, I've never eaten a one-sided pancake in my life, so if there's loyalty on one side, then what's on the other side of that? If I'm not creating an environment of emotion that creates loyalty to my customers, then by default that tells me, by law, I have to be creating environments that kind of erodes loyalty. I don't know what the opposite of that is, and of course then that means my experience or the experience I'm creating for my customer is driving clients away, which I'm pay greatly for customer acquisition, right? So I'm shooting myself in the foot by not creating a purposeful environment for loyalty. So that's kind of what did it for me.
Yeah, I like it.
You kind of got me in the heart there.
Well, that's good, because one of the things that I want to stress, we've got all these teachings and tutorials that we're putting out here. And I want to hear it when it doesn't resonate. When you don't believe in it, I want to know. I want to know, because I want to make sure that we overcome some of those thoughts or some of those beliefs, because we believe that what we're bringing here to the table is practical, real, proven, and really relatable tools that you will be able to, once implemented in your business, become very successful at it. So yeah, let's talk through it. If you got questions, hey, I want to know more about it, let us have it.
Absolutely. And now is your time to unmute and wave your hand. Oh, Willie, you want to go?
Yeah, I was going to add on to it a little bit where we're talking so much about the customer experience, and I think one thing that we were super focused at Willie's was if there is a really negative experience with us, and now how are we solving those? And so that's something that I always pushed very hard on, that we listen first, and our response is never scream scream back, and we hear them out, and then we do what we can to fix it, and that got us a lot of loyal customers, I can tell you, even with those people that we had some negative experience with. So there, if you can hold back and listen, it will usually always pay off.
Yeah, and that's true, because in today's marketplace, man, I will tell you, stop competing on price or features. Like, stop it. Compete on experience, because that's the true difference maker. That's what's really going to stick long term, right? We talked about how the CRM manages relationships, but this CX defines it. So like Willie said, right? Like that's so critical is hear them out, go to work, put the checks and balances in place to make sure that we're going to be addressing it.
Can I back you up a little bit, Hector? You just said, and I missed it. I was making a note. Stop competing on price and what?
Yeah, and features. You know, some people get into the gadgets, right? Like, oh, we have this and they don't. Doesn't matter. It's the experience.
Okay. You know, so this is where I'm watching to see who's going to raise their hand or just unmute. You don't even have to raise your hand. There's not that many of us on the call today. So if you want to just, I'll notice that you unmute and then I'll just shut up and let you talk. I'd rather you talk than me talk. But anyway, it made me think of an experience that I had way back a lot of years ago. I put in about a year and a half selling cars at a car dealership, right? And oh man, they'd get us in these meetings every Saturday morning, and they would just pound into us, the management, that it's all about customer service, and we got to create this great customer service experience. And then everybody that buys a car, we got to get them to fill out this survey, and we want all fives, you know, or tens or whatever, and top customer service award or whatever. And then and they would just hammer that at us. And they'd tell us that, you know, they got our back and they would do anything that we needed them to do, management, so that this customer would have a great experience buying a vehicle there. And there were many, many times when we would go to management and management would just, like, they didn't practice what they preached. They just expected that to be kind of the salespeople's job, and they didn't really back it up from their aspect, and the customer ended up having a bad experience because the overriding or the overarching sort of attitude from management didn't match up to what they're beaking off about.
Right.
And so I love the fact that you said, Hector, customer experience or customer service isn't a department.
That's right.
It's not just, hey, sales team, go make a great customer service experience. Hey, front desk gal, you know, or whatever, go make sure you create a customer service experience that's good. But you said it's a complete strategy and it's company wide. Did I get that right?
That's correct. You hit it right on the nail. You know, I'm an ops guy, but by nature, that's what I do. That's what I believe I do well, and I work with ops teams. However, in my expectations of an ops team, it's always driven to ensure we take care of our customer. And those that work with me will hear me out. We'll talk about that. How do we take care of our customer? What is the customer gonna feel when we complete this activity? What's the learning point, right? What's the pain point we have to focus on? Ops minded, we're gonna go create a procedure, a process around that to ensure we hook that customer.
Good.
Yeah. So let's open it up. I think we've got a few folks here. Maybe I think we've got a few cameras off because I can't see them, but I'll just randomly pick on you. So, Vlad, why don't we start with you? Let's talk about customer experience, and let's think about that internally and externally too, right? As we talk about experience, think about, you know, yourself, you know, as a consumer, and how you're made to feel how when you go spend your money.
Yeah, it's a good point. It reminded me that one thought that good way to start thinking about customer service is, for example, to think, what would I like if I would be my customer, right?
Yeah,
So, and then you start
totally.
thinking, would I love to hear from my current company that's servicing me? Would I like to hear that truck is delayed? Or would I like to hear if something goes wrong? Would I like to hear a heads up, right? So it gives a good perspective of how to start thinking about providing good customer service.
Absolutely, absolutely, right. And again, it's not a customer service department, right? It's
Yeah.
all of us. It's the experience that we all own. We play parts of that experience, but as long as we own that and we're successful at that, it just creates that broader culture across the organization.
Yeah, and sometimes I notice that, for example, drivers, they think sometimes that we just do our job. We are not like customer service. It's something that people in the office do. We just do our job, like unload and go home, right? But it's not. So
It's
it's
not
the whole
not
company.
at all.
Yeah.
Especially in the field businesses like the one that that you're in, Vlad, right? It's you've got a driver who represents the organization in the field. Every touch point, right? They're dealing with a driver, an operator, a field person. And so they have to buy in the customer experience piece, because if they don't, man, it could be, how drivers can be sometimes. They'll start yelling and saying the wrong things to customer, and all of a sudden now they're getting booted off the site, and now you've got a bigger problem to deal with.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's good, Vlad. All right, let's move on here. Cecilia, I think I got you next on my screen.
For me, I think the experience again. I think that's very important, and the way I see it, I think from I don't know, a long time ago. I mean, I've always been in the trucking industry and servicing and all that. But I think that when you start seeing your service more as a solution to a problem the customer has, that's when you get to understand really how you can help them. And so you need to have that mindset as they're coming to you because they have a problem, and you need to help them solve the problem, not necessarily just sell your service. That solving the problem might include that you have to modify your service to customize it for the customer for what they're looking for. And so and once you understand that, sometimes it's just little things, just you have to change a way that you present something, or you add, like, oh, well, with this I'm also going to send you a report every week so that you know how much we're moving, or that kind of thing. And they don't even know that they needed that, but that's going to help them solve their problem. When they come to you and they tell you the problem, you can think of many other ways that you can offer that solution, not just the actual service itself. So yeah, I think that having that mentality, and then again, yeah, it changes the whole experience for the customer for sure.
Yeah, totally. Now let's dive a little deeper, because I know your knowledge level is quite large. Like, you've been around a lot of this. Let's challenge you a bit more. So now you've hit on external customers. Now let's dive into internal customers, right? Interdepartment customers. How does that stand out for you? As you're running a division now, right? What are you looking for? What are you looking to ensure works out well from a customer experience?
From our team to communicate externally with our customers. Well, yeah, you have to understand that everyone, like in your team, has a different personality, right? And again, the emotions, everything is different. Their perspective, the way they interact with the customer is different, of course. But at the same time, that's part of the internal customer part that we're dealing here every day. You have to learn how to read your people, and what's motivating them, and make them understand from that side. Okay, this is what you're looking for, and then from the customer side. So it is a little more challenging for sure, because all the different personalities. But at the same time, it's it makes it fun, like the interaction that we have internally and then externally. It makes it challenging, and the one thing that I see that it works is when we're measuring everyone, when we measure each other. And make everyone accountable. That's when, in reality, because it's very easy to say, oh, we're doing great, the customer loves us, they sent a review and it's great. But then you have your team, and you have the ones that are making an extra effort and the ones that are not.
That's right.
So yeah, I think once you start measuring that, and the reviews and all that, it gets the team engaged, and they want to do better, right?
Yeah, totally. I think and you hit on a couple points here for me, was the KPI component, understanding the data, using that as leverage tools to provide feedback, provide challenges for consistent growth, and alignment. It's all about alignment, ensuring everybody's focused on that customer experience. Now, on the internal piece, where it's challenging is interdepartmental focuses, right? We have, we have safety, we have sales, we have fleet in some cases, we have other departments that are chasing different objectives. However, we are still customers to each other in the corporation, because we're all working together to ultimately have that experience, right? And so building that expectation of, I'm here to ensure that this department has a smooth transaction, is set up for success, does well, so that ultimately the customer's experience is as flawless as it can be. So in monitoring that, ensuring that it goes smooth, providing feedback, all of that key internally is so key as you begin to grow.
But I think that's when you're giving the feedback from the customer, I think that's why it's important, because normally you will go back to ops and say, "Hey, we did awesome, like this job that we just finished, it was good." And then you reward that team, and it's like, "Well, what about maintenance? And what about everyone else that make that happen?" But it's not directly, right? So you
Yeah.
have to be able to reward everyone the same, so that they feel like they had a contribution, right, directly to their success.
Absolutely. Reward and challenge, right? And provide the feedback to ensure that we continue to all be aligned. So, yeah, really good. Excellent, Cecilia. Thanks for that. All right. Grace, I think you're next on my list here.
Oh yeah, there's a question that's popping on my mind. I'm not even sure if it makes sense, but I'm just wondering, is there any data that we should like regularly collecting that could be very beneficial on providing a great customer experience?
Yeah, I mean, you have those like feedback forums, I know that the questionnaires are generally ones that are asked for different experience points. You've seen them before. I think the
Mm-hmm.
NPS ones, right? And you get
Mm-hmm.
some feedback from those loops, which is important to establish those. But here's what I think is missing in them personally. This is my own opinion,
Mm-hmm.
is it
Mm-hmm.
that people leverage those to only think about, oh, that customer's pain point, versus missing the broader, how many others didn't actually check the happy face or
Mm-hmm.
even respond, right? So they're like, oh yeah, we got one bad review. Well, did you get one bad review, or did you get a lot of people that missed it? And so,
Mm-hmm.
like, how did they walk away with not giving you the feedback? So I think what's important outside of these is, yes, focus on the fact that there was one, but go deeper, because it could have been 10, it could have been 50. And I know, Willie, like, you were relentless on this. If you saw one bad review, it was one too many.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. That's something that we really wanted to know what was going on, and even earlier what I was talking about, when we messed up, how we were solving it, and I think the other part of that was is a lot of times when something happens, it's sometimes easy just to push it to the side and not face what actually happened. And that's something that I always pulled out and said, no, let's really is, dig into this and see what we need to change in our company.
Yeah. So my focus on this one, Grace, is like the stats are indicators, right? They're
Mm-hmm.
indicators for change or improvement, as we should leverage them. But in the case of this, don't diminish the one, because you
Mm-hmm.
you had one and people are like, oh yeah, but we had 9 good ones, so let's celebrate the 9 good ones. Yeah, but how
Mm-hmm.
many didn't give you feedback, right? How many just walked away saying like, I won't come back?
Mm-hmm. Right.
So
Okay.
that's the point that I think, when relying on stats, it'd be a little careful in this one. Like, just focus on the experience. You know the pain points. Focus on
Mm-hmm.
that. Remove the pain points.
And another strategy I would say that we did is if we saw any customers drop off, and
Mm-hmm.
we've had some really good reporting around that, we would then follow up and see why, and learn from that. I think that's a good way of learning to see what's actually happening.
Right. Okay. Thanks,
Yeah.
guys.
Thanks, Chris. All right, Andrew, I know that you're starting up your business. Let's hear about how you're focusing on customer experience and what you learned here today.
Well, for customer experience, for me as a lawn care and landscaping guy, it's the little things that count. Like if a homeowner comes out and asks, "Hey, could you trim this tree for me today, or do you have time?" Well, I'll never say no. That's for me. That's a big
Yeah.
key.
Yeah, that's huge. And that's so transferable across all organizations because Vlad, Cecilia, you guys, what don't we say? We never say what. Right?
We say yes all the time, right?
We say yes all the time. That's
Yeah.
it.
We don't know if we can, we don't know if we have the power, but we always say yes and we figure it out later.
We'll figure it out later, yeah.
That's it, right? It's about the customer experience. It's not, we have to be able to make them feel like the most important transaction is with us. Right. Cool. Good stuff, Andrew. All right. Mike, I see you there still. Here. What are you taking away from this one today?
Well, a lot of our customers are 90%, they're with us all the time. Just repeating with the big construction outfits that we work with. But on our service side, I know they try to get all of our employees in line on the same style, I would say. So everyone sort of has that signature Wheeler experience. And it doesn't matter who comes to your house, you're going to get that same experience. It doesn't matter. And we also try to do that when we transfer clients between divisions.
Right.
That doesn't change either. It's always consistent. And if there's a hiccup, we will look into it and figure out what happened between the transfer, what happened with our guy in the field. Like that's just not aligned with how we want to present ourselves as a company.
That's great. That's really cool to hear that, for an organization that doesn't have a CRM, it's still heavily successful through that customer experience. And
Yeah.
they've obviously built a very, very successful business, by doing so, by focusing on that.
Yeah,
That's
they
great.
did. And if anyone's out of place, it gets adjusted really fast, which is good.
Meaning like if the employees don't deliver to that experience, or if the customer wasn't happy with their
Correct.
experience.
Both. They're like if the employee didn't deliver, we're stepping in to see what happened. And if the client is unhappy with us and does get rid of us, we do always contact them and figure out what the problem was. We never want to lose anybody, so it's very important to us on that side. So.
For sure. Okay. No, that sounds great. That sounds good to know. Now, what are you doing to measure your customer experience? Is there a tool? Is there something that Wheeler uses?
Nah, no, we try to. There isn't a tool. There isn't. It's just, I don't know. It's kind of weird. Like I said, this company is weird sometimes, where everyone just falls into place, and once you know something, it's just you just wanna make it work for the company, and you learn the way that it's run, and then everyone just maintains that, and it's a weird flow, and it doesn't measure, but if you talk to any Wheeler employee, you know that they work for Wheeler. It's just weird just to see that.
Interesting. Well, that's something that I've never really heard, because generally you have an audit, right, or a survey that will go out post transaction, post experience, and so that you can hear back that feedback loop. Or as in Grace's point, like you would send out an NPS, that's more digital. Willie would do face-to-face touch points with customers. He'd send salespeople to go get some feedback. I know where we work, we send field people. We have our leads call the plants, and they're consistently asking for feedback. So you're doing it,
No.
and you're not doing it today.
No, we don't. Like the most we do, say on the commercial and production side, is with me being that client manager that just deals with them every day. And I do touch in once in a while to say they're okay, but I've never once had a complaint saying they're not okay. So,
Wow. That's
Yeah.
that's great. That's great to hear that there isn't
Yeah.
any. But yeah, I'm thinking about how do we help, your organization, and maybe it's that suggestion of let's implement maybe
Yeah.
that tool that will give us the data to quantify how many we may have that may be positive and maybe negative, right? Built off the positive ones, of course,
Yeah.
to help us with that. So yeah, just some thoughts around it
For sure.
for your organization in
Yeah.
particular. All right.
For
Cool.
sure. Thanks,
Awesome.
guys.
Thanks, Mike. All right, Peter.
Well, I'm building my business around the customer service. So for me, it's very important to treat customers with like I respect and the way they treat them the way I want to be treated, right? And
Mhm.
for me, I had a few customers that I'm not gonna pick on them, but how do you like when they say negative stuff to you and this person is really negative, how do you get out of that negative and get them on the positive and really focus on the positive to and like to help this person to get on a better track?
Well, I think you need to hear out what is the pain point, right? If they're being negative about something. So what would be an experience that they'd be negative about, just so that I could get some more context?
In this case, I think in a personal life and
Mm.
at the time of the service, she saw the value of what I was putting forward. But 2 months later, she texted me back and then like cancel my service because I don't see the value in it anymore because you couldn't help me the way I want to be helped. So in that kind of tone, so I was like, I'm sorry I couldn't satisfy you, but is there any way that I can help you? Nope, just just like that. So how can I improve that kind of a service and help the person at the same time?
Sure. I think, from what I'm hearing through that experience, it would be the value that this individual was looking for. Sounds like it could be either knowledge, so she didn't grasp what she was buying to truly understand the value of, I don't know, I know that you sell insurance, right? So maybe it was a policy that she didn't quite understand, or the policy didn't have the features that she was looking for, right? So I would imagine that there's a very good questionnaire that you go through and you explain what they're buying, explain the dollar values and the payouts and all the value and stuff, but actually get your client to, versus just you asking the questions, get them to tell it to you. I would be like, I want you to write down three things here. What's the most important to you? What are you looking for? Is it value to price? Is it value to life payout, medical coverage? Is it value to lending towards the policy or loaning towards the policy or cashback on the policy? But what is it? Like, what is it that's truly what you're looking for here? Because if you're just looking for a cheap policy and I sell you more than that, you're not going to see value to what I'm paying, to what you're paying here. Or if I'm giving you the bells and whistles of the policy and all you wanted was a cheap one, you're not going to be able to connect to it as well.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Does that make sense? Like, I just want to make sure that what I would say is you flip it. So versus you educating, before you educate, get to the pain point from them. What are they looking out of it?
Yeah. No, that makes absolutely sense. Thank you.
Right? Okay, cool. Sounds good. And Al, we'll go back to you.
Well, I have a question as well, but I also want to honor our time. We only got a minute left, so I don't know if I should just leave it and put it in the.
No, let's ask. Let's ask
And
away.
it goes back, there's something that Vlad said and something that Peter said as well, kind of made me think similar things. And kind of along the concept of, the golden rule, do unto others as you'd have done to you, right? Is kind of a good thing. But
Yeah.
then again, I know when it comes to really, relationships, it's not necessarily the golden rule, it's the platinum rule, do unto others the way they'd want done to them. So if we if customer service is more of us listening to them, creating an experience that's important to them, engaging the platinum rule versus the golden rule, is there a place, Hector, where we can let that kind of get carried away on us and we end up losing a little bit of how we function and how we do things and who we are because now we're getting blurry trying to make the experience the way, I'm trying to focus too much on making the experience the way Willie wants it, and then creating another different experience the way Peter wants it, and then creating a different experience the way Vlad wants it, and it's not the way we do things?
Sure.
Is there a risk of that? How do I
Absolutely.
manage that?
Absolutely. That's a really good question. And you know, what's important is to recognize what you do well as an organization or as a business. There's some that stick very much to their niche and they say, this is what we do. We won't step outside of this. And if you aren't looking for this, you're not an ideal customer. We won't do business with you. And that's just how you outline your organization. And that could make you very successful. There's others where I know, and today we partake in an organization that says we provide customized solutions. That means we have the ability to customize to your experience, to your requirements, and it's our job to figure it out for you. You know, and that's how these organizations are built. And so they bring in processes and people and systems that allow them to do that and be fluid that way.
Thank you, Hector. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So why don't we now then, if we think it's now is the right time, let's go over our homework challenge for next week, and then let's just turn it over to Willie, and Willie can walk us out of here with final comments.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, the challenge was to find what is that one pain point in your business, in your department, that that may be, again, slow response times. It could be any sort of pain point that you could see in your business today that's unclear. And the second one is create that wow moment. Create something that may be small, but that drives a customer experience, CX, that puts a smile, that makes somebody feel warm and fuzzy when they conduct business with you.
Yeah, love it.
All right.
So you, Willie. What?
Awesome. Yeah, I had one last thing to add that I wanted to announce here, that this last week we were able to figure out how to set up our platform where anyone can get a referral link. And if you share that link with your friends or whoever you think should come into this community, and if they sign up for it, you get a 25% cut out of every month of that membership. So, so yeah, I think that's exciting. Where I'm going to be posting that link here this week in the community, and how it works. It's going to take you to a landing page. You put your name and email in, and then you get an email with the instructions how to set it up on your side, and you have a link of your own to share with other people. So I'm excited about that, and I want to say just thank you for all the people that are always coming back and believe in what we're doing here. I really think over time it's going to make a great difference in your business, and I believe in what we're doing here.
Dang, Willie, that's good news, man, and congratulations to you guys, and that's exciting. I am looking forward to that link. So what would really make a great customer service experience for me is that you get that link sooner than later. Hey, come on, man.
There you go. I like it. Al and Peter, I know we'll be all over that one. That's good. I like it. Well, thanks again, everyone, for joining us. Don't forget your challenge, because next week we're going to put you on the hot seat if you haven't done it, right? So
Alrighty.
let's engage in the community. Let's post some questions, interact through there every week. I think it's critical that we build momentum through there, because I know throughout the week you have pain points, you have challenges, you're dealing with people issues, you're dealing with systems that are broken. Don't hesitate to post them on that community. We're all here to help out, right? And so post it there. We'll be able to help you throughout the week. Don't just wait till Thursday to come in and ask away. Like that, you've got 7 days, 24/7 that you could reach out to us through the community. So that's what I'll say there.
All righty, beautiful. In the meantime, and in between time, we'll see you next Thursday.
See you then. Thanks.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you.